Hello, welcome back, boys and girls. Thank you for joining us again today. Now, we have a fabulous story for you. Today's book is called The Little Cockroach, a Right Royal Roach Trip, written by Susie Violet. Now, this wonderful book is about two little friends who went on an adventure. Now, let's see what happens. Let's get started. Pedro, the little cockroach, was feeling chirpy and chipper. He looked at all the bright lights through a haze that twinkled like glitter. "We are bold travelers," Pedro said, "on a mission to discover." And Enrico turned to his best friend, and then they looked around in wonder. "Wow! Arriba!" Pedro whooped. "Let's go and explore!" And Pedro smiled. Enrico yelled, "Look, a riverboat! Quick, jump aboard!" Now the roaches crept across the deck to where a creature sat, and Pedro smiled, and the pear-shaped figure said, "Hey-ya, I'm Ruby Rat." "Hi, I'm Pedro, and he's Enrico. We've just got off a flight." "I'll show you around," said Ruby Rat. "This city is dynamite." Now the boats whipped up the River Thames, and their excitement grew stronger. The London Eye and Tower Bridge were reflected in the water. And then they arrived at the Tower of London and stared with awe and surprise. Suddenly, a raven swooped in and took them up towards the skies. "Cracking vista!" Enrico squealed, trying to use the lingo. And they took in the views, totally amused, before being dropped through a stone window. Now, glistening behind the glass sat the priceless crown jewels. With over 140 gems to see, all the little bugs could say was, "Cool." And all of a sudden, a befriender shouted, "Stop that robber!" as a man ran by. And Pedro cried, "Follow my lead! Ruby, trip up the bad guy!"
Yes.
And the bugs leaped up high with a funny little dance, and they flapped their wings with fat big grins, and he did not stand a chance. And they buzzed around the bandit's head and landed on his nose. Now Ruby Rat ran between his legs, and he fell flat on his back. And then he froze. "We've got him! Thank you, Nibblers!" The beefeater blurted. "You have really saved the day!" And the bobbies are being alerted. Now to Buckingham Palace, the heroes were escorted in the gold state coach drawn by 8 royal horses. And the palace was full of joy, and the queen was delighted. To award you with the highest thanks, you are all to be knighted. And the three little chums stooped before the queen and knelt for a tiny sword, a sight no one had ever seen. As they bowed, the big crowd roared. Rise, Sir Pedro. Rise, Sir Enrico. And of course, Dame Ruby. I speak on behalf of England, for you have done your duty. Now the Queen happily announced, you must all stay for tea. I royally do insist, said the Queen. And the cakes are so scrummy. Now the excitement was all too much. Ruby almost fainted. It would be an honor. Pedro beamed, and Enrico felt elated. Now Ruby peeled herself from the floor and scooped at an incredible pace. And the state banquet was full of treats, but their table manners were a disgrace. Now after tea, they had to dash. So much to do and see. I'll show you around on a London bus, Dame Ruby said. Come with me. And a final tour of this great city, and then a stroll through Hyde Park. It had been a roller coaster adventure, seeing nearly every single landmark. And it was now time for the three amigos to finally say goodbye. Ruby dropped them off at the Ritz and left with a tear in her eye.
Bye-bye.
Now the little bugs had earned a rest. What an amazing day! It was all beyond their wildest dreams, but it was time to hit the hay. Now Pedro nuzzled into a blanket, and Enrico blocked out the lights. Tomorrow would be another adventure, but for now, they said night-night. The end. What a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you for joining us again, boys and girls, for this wonderful story time. We thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you soon. Bye.